Welcome along to the show today. We're back at it again out today on the VFR800. And look at today. It's a lovely February evening. It's definitely still cold. At least the roads aren't frosty or anything bad. But we're out today to take a few photos, and I wanted to bring you along, minus my DSLR today. So we're going to be taking photos on our smartphone, which is something I don't regularly do, so you'll have to bear with me. We have a lot less options than using a DSLR. So I'm just trying to think of a nice spot that we can go to that's a bit secluded. Just somewhere that I can not have distractions, where I can record a video in peace without disturbing anyone else. I do love my DSLR, but sometimes you just don't have it on you to be able to use it to your advantage. It is a fairly heavy thing to be carrying around with you at the end of the day, but as the experts say, the best camera you can have is the one on you. So we're going to put that to the test today. So I'm going to try this spot here. Sneaky. And there's usually a few bird watchers and stuff down here, but a lot of the rest of the time there's absolutely no one down here, which is nice. Good for the old photos. This is one of the roads that's right over the Jackledge Tunnel, so you have Blackrock Castle Observatory right across there, and you also have the Docklands and the Tivoli container yard right in front of us. So this is one of the service roads that they built while doing the tunnel, and as you can see there's a big lagoon as well. It's actually used as a wildlife sanctuary, because where Little Island is built on a bog, and when we came along and built a load of roads and infrastructure around it, we kind of disturbed them. Someone explained it to me before. So here we are. To start the video off, really, when you're taking photos, the fundamentals of photography. Number one would be subject, which of course today will be our lovely VFR800. For like portrait photography, the subject will be just the actual person in the photo. So to take a good photo, you want to have a nice subject, and like it or not, I think the VFR is perfecto for this one. So number two of the basic fundamentals of photography would be location. So I'm not sure about you, but I think this location ticks the box. To be honest, I would rather go over to the Blackrock Castle Observatory and park up in front of there and use that as our background, but I think it's going to be just a bit too busy this evening, and I don't really want to be recording videos in their car park, so this is the next best thing. Number three of the basic fundamentals of photography would be your lighting. We're slowly approaching 5 o'clock, and as you can see, the sun is slowly setting. This time of the evening is commonly known as the golden hour, where the sun is setting at such an angle that it's shooting light sideways, more of harsh light coming down on top of you. Makes for a lot better lighting in a photo. Like, you want to avoid harsh lighting in photos. So say if I was to be behind the bike shooting forward, I'd have a lot of shadows on this side because my highlights is in the sky and in the sun. So I wouldn't be able to get a nice photo shooting straight on with a smartphone. In terms of DSLRs, yes, you could shoot straight on into the sun. A method of doing that would be to set up what's known as a speed light, and basically shooting in towards the sun and the bike to light up the shadows. And you're actually going to overpower the sun because you're setting a nice fast shutter speed. So you're not overexposing any of the sky, and you're actually overexposing the shadows. So you can actually take a really nice photo shooting straight into the sun with a DSLR, but not exactly with a smartphone. So in today's video, we're going to be shooting from this side of the bike using our sun as the main fill light. So we'll set up our cameras here and we'll get started. Right, so we have our phone here. The phone I'm using today is the Xiaomi. It's the Xiaomi mkII. It's like a cheaper version of the Huawei's. So we're basically going to open up our camera here. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a RAW setting. Now, RAW basically lets us go in afterwards and manipulate the photo a bit more in editing, and we can drag up a lot of the shadows that we wouldn't be able to do in a normal JPEG image. But that doesn't matter because we do not have RAW on this phone, so we won't be worrying about that today. So here is our phone, and as you can see, already it looks awesome because we're shooting with the light behind us. And it is all just the basic things like that in photography. Like, you want to have a nice lighting, a nice subject, and a nice location. And we have absolutely very harsh shadows, so I'm trying not to get that in the shot as well. As I said earlier, coming into the photography, you want to have a nice composition. So you want to be able to frame your photo nicely using the rule of thirds. If you don't know what that is, you can see the 3 lines, the bars and the 2 lines going horizontal. That's basically a rule of thirds which you can use to your advantage of lining stuff up in the frame. So as you can see, right there on the front of the headlight, I'm going to be lining that up with the top side of our frame. As you can see just down here, there's a small bit of shadow which to me I don't like. It's going to remove that. Now, we don't exactly have a lovely background here, but it is definitely better than shooting directly into the light. So as you can see, we have our frame lined up and we're in Pro mode right now. Now your phone may differ. There should be some sort of manual settings that you can go in and change around. So basically, you have your ISO, you have your aperture and your shutter speed. Now unfortunately this phone does not have aperture, which makes it easier for you at home if you're following along. So your ISO is your image sensitivity. You want to keep that nice and low unless you're in a very dark or unlit environment. And oh my god, look at the clouds, it looks bloody like it's going to piss rain. So moving on, we want to keep our low ISO, so we're going to keep that down at 100, which is the lowest available. Moving into our shutter speed, as you can see, it's set to auto, which in most cases will be always set to auto. You can expose for 1 second, which is absolutely too long. Like exposing our shutter open for 1 second would open it. Everything coming into that frame within that 1 second would be captured and then it would close. So if you see like nighttime shots where you have like lovely light trails of cars driving past, that's basically a long exposure. But we won't be doing that tonight. We actually have, oh no! As you can see, photography is very hard when you're dealing with this kind of weather. As you can see, it's nicely exposed with 1/1000 of a second. So we're just going to shoot that off right now. Boom. And that is taken. Now we can do another few shots. I want to try to get creative with it, especially because right now the sun is down. And now we can shoot into the sun a bit better than what we could have done a while ago. So again, lining up our composition. Maybe a bit too close right now. And I want to actually get the castle in the background, so I'm going to move it out another small bit, and I'm going to try to keep the castle somewhere in the middle of the frame right here. And I don't want to take the whole bike in. Now a lot of you would, even me included, when I started off, I would have kept it nice and high and taken a lot of the sky, which is just stupid clouds there. So what we're going to do is going to drop it down a bit more, keeping Black Rock Castle right there, and we're going to try to get the ground exposed a bit more so it looks a bit nicer. And we can see there's birds flying in the background. We'll shoot one off there, just try to get one of them birds. There's even more birds, so we're going to shoot them even more. As you can see then, as we're going up, we're overexposing the sky too much, which is just too much. And to be safe, you can always take more than enough photos. So I'm right down at 1/1000 of a second again. So I'm going to shoot that off. And there we have it. So as you can see, within a few minutes, the sun is pretty much gone, hidden behind all that cloud. But we're going to try work on, because I think it might break. Even though it's lovely and blue over there and we can see the moon is out as well. But yeah, looking west does not look very nice. So this way, right here, that's pretty nice. Now you can see I have my tripod set very low, which is usually what looks the best. So I won't be worrying too much about that. Now, distractions are another major thing in your photos. Like this pole here in the background is kind of distracting to the photo. And the ones further out I can't really do much about, so we'll leave it there. Again, I think I might just center this one because, yeah. The ground doesn't look too pretty, but that's probably because it's underexposed. I'll bring it up just to 1/500, and now you can see the sun is starting to break through the clouds again, but very slowly. And it looks like it's raining also, so that's nice. So we have our settings set at shutter speed 1/500 of a second, ISO 100. We don't have any aperture options, so we're going to shoot this one off right here. So that's our 3 photos. A lot of them are just basic ones, but just, you know, rear quarter shots. Nothing very creative right there, but we have 3 very different photos. So one very cool thing about these smartphones is how close you can actually get the lens to the subject. Now I know this is not going to be like, you know, epic, but you can get a pretty nice detailed shot up close. Now, as I said, that's not being very creative, so I'm going to just use our eyes to look around here again. Yeah, so why don't we take the old RH Automotive logo down here? We're going to underexpose our shots again. We're going to get nice and close here. Maybe overexpose it one more. So as you can see, we're nice and close. Maybe going to reframe my shot to about there. Yeah. And as you can see, there's lots and lots of detail. You can see the water droplets of the rain that's coming in. And you can see how unpolished my bike is. So yeah, you could do that with a DSLR, but you wouldn't be able to do it in certain positions. Especially with the minimum distance, the minimum focus distance of some lenses on DSLRs. You wouldn't be able to get that close and get a finite detail out of it. And it doesn't look like the sun is cooperating with us today. Even though it still is February, we're nearly out of winter. Spring is coming very shortly, and that will be much welcomed. Another thing I forgot to mention as well was my use of tripods. Tripods are a massive help in photography, especially if you're taking any sort of long exposure. You don't want any sort of camera shake at all, so I would definitely recommend purchasing a decent tripod that's going to be solid. Even if you're using a phone, a lot of phones can be absolutely brilliant in long exposure photography and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth investing in. Like, a lot of people don't realise how powerful their camera phone can be. The video that you're watching right now on this camera, the 5D Mark II, is actually not as advanced as what my smartphone in my pocket would be. One of the main advantages of the smartphone over this DSLR would be the frame rate of video, so you're able to record 60 frames on your phone, whereas my 5D Mark II can only record up to 30, which isn't nice in some situations where you want to slow down footage or go slow motion, or, you know, getting creative basically with the camera. But as I said, the best camera to have is the one you have on you. So as you can see, the sun really hasn't set yet, but it's nice and dark and gloomy out, which wasn't exactly the ending that I hoped for. So I'm not going to stand here and get wet much longer, so I'm going to drive on and leave it at that. If you liked, subscribe, hit the like button. So if you're on Instagram, you can also head on over there and follow me. My name is Gigs Cork, and I'll link that down in the description. And you can keep up to date with all the photos and videos that we take, and a little bit of behind the scenes. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.